Welcome to HUHTAMAKI. This presentation will introduce you to HUHTAMAKI and our requirements for working on HUHTAMAKI property. Above all, we expect all contractors to work in a manner that will ensure the safety of people, property, and products. There are a number of rules and requirements that all contractors must follow, or they will be subject to being removed from the property and possible withholding of payment. This means that we expect all contractors, subcontractors, and their employees to report to work rested, sober, and properly attired. We request that you begin your day parking in our regular employee parking lots and not in the visitor or handicap parking spaces. These spaces are for visiting customers and guests. We also do not allow contractor employees to park inside the gates to our property. Company utility vehicles and equipment vehicles may get permission to enter the gated areas, but they are not to stay there if they are not required to be immediately at hand. We ask that if you have tools or equipment, you drop them off at the job site, then return your vehicle to the parking lot. Proper attire includes leather shoes or boots with steel-toed safety shoes, highly recommended. We do not allow shoes with holes in either the sole or the sides. Likewise, pants must be full length without rips, hanging patches, or fringe. Because we produce food containers, we prohibit any hanging or loose material above the waist that might fall into our product. That means no pens, rulers, or other items in shirt pockets. Please leave things such as earrings, necklaces, pins, political buttons, and rings at home or with your personal belongings. You must remove your wristwatch from your wrist. You may have it hanging off your belt if you want, or a pocket watch is okay. Additionally, shirts must cover the shoulders and have sleeves. Baseball caps and hats are not allowed in the manufacturing areas. Hard hats are allowed if necessary as PPE when working at various heights or in a construction zone area. They should be approved by your project manager or our safety coordinator. All visitors entering the manufacturing areas are required to wear green hairnets, and any facial hair below the upper lip must be covered by a beard net. That means a very bushy mustache or Fu Manchu mustache requires a beard net. Hard hats do not take the place of hair nets. Anything in the mouth is forbidden. No gum, candy, cough drops, chew, chaw, or tobacco. Contractors are required to wear safety glasses at all times in manufacturing areas or while performing work in other areas, such as break rooms or bathrooms. Hearing protection is required anytime there is noise that requires you to talk above a normal speaking level. This occurs continuously in the manufacturing areas and may occur in other places as well. If you are operating noisy machinery, then you should be wearing hearing protection. If you are creating noise in a normally quiet area, you should post a sign that says hearing protection is required. Preventing product contamination is very important to us. Earplugs worn in our plant are required to be attached by a cord so they cannot fall into our product. If you do not normally use this type of earplug, we can give you a pair. While you are in the manufacturing areas, we will require you to strictly control any materials or hardware you bring on site or scrap materials you create during your work. Scrap, waste, debris, and miscellaneous hardware must be kept away from production areas or our finished products. You will be held responsible for any contamination or product recall as a result of any contamination resulting from poor materials control. Work lights must use coated bulbs in case of breakage, and tools or equipment with glass must be reviewed with your host before bringing them into the manufacturing areas. Glass presents a significant product contamination risk for us. Things like stripping or cutting wire, trimming sheet metal, handling rivets, screws, nuts, bolts, or other hardware items can lead to disaster if it falls into our product. You must ask before working near operating production machinery, and please make sure all waste or excess materials are strictly controlled. Trimming wires directly into a wastebasket or container is one way to do this. Setting up special work control partitions for dust, sparks, etc. may be required. Curtains and hot work permits for welding are always required. Check with your host to make sure you are clear to complete all your work in the work area. Ladders should be the proper type and size, properly stored when not in use. Any defective ladders must be removed from service and reported to the project leader. We never allow anyone to stand on the top rung of a ladder. We may be able to loan you a taller ladder, or you may have to use a man lift. Of course, we will never allow any kind of horseplay or practical joking on our property. Any observed horseplay or evidence of practical joking will immediately void the contract, and those individuals will be expelled from our property. This goes for any drinking or drug use. We have a no-tolerance policy for drugs and alcohol, and anyone caught using either while on our property will be banned from any further work here. HUHTAMAKI is a tobacco-free facility, and so there is no smoking or tobacco use anywhere on our property. Please leave cigarettes and tobacco products in your vehicles. For your safety and our employees' safety, please stay clear of operating machinery and utilities unless it has been protected or arrangements have been made to work around our employees. Our maintenance and operations people will try to give you a clean and clear work zone for any activity you need to complete. However, we ask that you survey your work area before beginning any operations and make sure that you can complete the task safely and without impacting our production. Materials left laying around will not be the responsibility of HUHTAMAKI. It is highly recommended that you arrange for safe, secure storage of any materials that will be on the site for more than a day. Occurrences such as stopping conveyors, blocking forklift aisles, blocking emergency exits, triggering smoke alarms, or generally crowding manufacturing operations should be worked out with your project manager in the initial phase of any project. There may be other safety equipment that you will be required to use, and we expect you to provide your own. Things as gloves, face shields, hard hats, chaps, boots, fall protection equipment, or other personal protective equipment are all the responsibility of the contractor. All tools and power equipment must be in good condition. Power hand tools should be double insulated or have a 3-pronged grounded plug. Anytime you use an extension cord with power tools, there must be a GFCI at the outlet. We expect all power equipment to have all proper protective devices and guards in place unless approved ahead of time by our safety coordinator. Anyone using powered equipment must be trained and knowledgeable in the safe operations of the equipment. If your contract stipulates that you may use HUHTAMAKI equipment, we may require you to go through a training class that could take an hour or more. Things such as forklifts, man lifts, or welding equipment all require HUHTAMAKI training. Failure to get this training may void that portion of the contract. Please plan this training program into your activity schedule. Prior training at other facilities or companies will not be substituted for training with HUHTAMAKI's equipment and procedures. Whether you use our equipment or provide your own, this equipment must be in good repair and inspected prior to use. If you are applying chemicals, working overhead, or creating dusty conditions, you may be required to build a containment to keep the material from contaminating our products or allowing dirt from the overhead structures from falling into our production machinery. If you have a written safety plan for your company, please submit this to our company safety coordinator. We require you to have all your own written program in a number of areas, or to follow ours. Things such as emergency evacuations, electrical, safety GFCI use, lockout tagout, fall protection, and other confined space entry that may be necessary. If you will need any respiratory protection, or if you use respirators, we must know ahead of time. Also, if you are doing hot work, we need you to follow our hot work permit program. You must submit material safety data sheets, MSDS, and we should give you a copy of our incident, accident investigation, and reporting program. We will briefly touch on some of these requirements of these programs here. For further information or clarification, see our contractor handbook or talk with our safety coordinator. Anytime the fire alarm goes off, we require all persons to evacuate. Please train your people to meet at a specific location during any evacuation so they can be accounted for. In the event a fire breaks out in your work area, there are fire alarms next to all exits, and they will notify the fire department automatically. The alarm system will also be triggered in certain areas by smoke detectors or our sprinkler system. Access to fire extinguishers must be maintained at all times. Any fire extinguisher that has been discharged must be brought to the project manager's attention for replacement. Doing hot work such as welding, cutting, grinding, or other open flame or high temperature or sparking work requires a safety plan and your completion of our hot work permit. This permit can be acquired from our maintenance people, or your host can provide you with one. A hot work permit must be completed and the instructions on it followed to the letter, or this portion of the work may not be paid. For electrical and machine safety, we require coordination of lockout-tagout with our program. We have detailed lockout procedures for most of our equipment, and these must be followed when working on equipment. For using power tools, we require GFCI with any extension cord or any plug and cord equipment over 12 feet long. Temporary wiring should also be wired through a GFCI. Again, for the safety of our employees and the product safety of our customers, all chemicals and materials must be accompanied with a Material Safety Data Sheet, MSDS. It is highly recommended that material safety data sheets be submitted well in advance of any work start date or with a bid proposal. The HUHTAMAKI Safety Coordinator must review material safety data sheets with the project manager before any material is brought on site. Do not assume that any material or chemical is okay to use if it has not been approved. Failure to provide material safety data sheets may void your contract and you may not be paid. Any digging or trenching must be done under a proper safety plan. Shoring or trenched walls or pits is the responsibility of the contractor. Use of cranes or hoists must also be coordinated with our safety coordinator. Any highly hazardous or potentially disruptive work must be coordinated with our safety coordinator. Activities such as confined space entry, working with chemicals, working on utility or air handling systems, or distributing of asbestos materials are all included in this work. Any unforeseen complications in the execution of your work may be a good time to step back and discuss with our safety coordinator or your host any changes in plans. You are also required to report any accidents, incidents, injuries, near misses, or property damage to the safety coordinator. Failure to report any of these issues may result in you being banned from any future work and withholding payment until any legal issues are resolved. This has been a general overview of our expectation while you're a guest on our property. We look forward to a long and mutually rewarding relationship with our contractors. A clear and concise understanding of our expectations early in this relationship has proven to be very helpful in establishing strong relationships. HUHTAMAKI is concerned with the safety of our people, our property, and our product. Following general industry guidelines, government regulations, and good work practices will ensure that this relationship will continue to grow over time. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video.